to you like a red rose, seeking the sun no matter where it goes. I long to stay where the light dwells, to guard against the cold that I know so well.
Yo, how's it going, everybody? So, do you love video games? And if so, do you actually enjoy some romance on the side of video games? Well, what if I told you right now there was actually an anime that combines two of the same genres, put them together like peanut butter and jelly, into one big package of an anime? That's right, of course I'm talking about the one and only High Score Girl. High Score Girl is pretty much about these two characters that pretty much somehow seem to be much more than just a really good friend relationship. Oh no, it goes further beyond that. And what better way to actually spread the love and bring people happiness and together with the power of video games. So when it comes to High Score Girl, it definitely brings that. And of course it's funny too. Like the comedy in this series is actually top notch. It's very funny stuff. I think everybody will just get a kick out of that as well, especially some of the other characters, you know, you will meet pretty much. Like, oh man, like, there are so many like pretty awesome characters you'll meet in the series. But you know, I figured this is something a lot more different compared to, you know, the norm, like the name of the game of anime that I usually review, which is obviously all the cool shonen stuff, or just like all the new hot anime in general that, you know, features all that, like action, like really action oriented, you know, comedy, and, you know, some romance, you know, on the side, stuff like that. Not too much of it, but like on the side of it. So when it comes to a series like this, when it comes to High Score Girl, especially because, like, you know, with all this craziness going on right now, and with stuff being delayed when it comes to watching anything new of anime or whatnot, or collecting some stuff having been delayed, you know, me finally decided to jump on the bandwagon of Netflix. And, you know, even though I don't really go with digital, I gotta say, man, Netflix has pretty much changed the way I watch anime. Even though I'm still collecting anime and supporting the industry, and I still love my physical copies, it's just, you know, if I want to check out, you know, some of these hot new shows, and, you know, if I can't find anywhere else, you know, hey, if it's on Netflix, I'll definitely pop it on. And ever since I got a subscription, it's just like, hell yeah. And especially during these troubling times, you know, of course. So I dived right into the bandwagon of Netflix and just decided to jump on in, decided to, you know, get some anime on there and whatnot. And there were a couple of mine, and there's also another really popular talked about anime that's been just wildfire ever since Netflix. Even though it kind of hit a little bit when it came out first in Japan, but it wasn't really officially licensed like here to watch on any streaming site until finally Netflix caught a part of it, which, you know, they kind of made a deal that it was going to be on Netflix, even though I thought it was just going to be like, you know, on Crunchyroll. I thought the series was mainly going to be on Crunchyroll first, but not this series in particular. I'm talking about Beastars. But Beastars is probably going to be another review for another time. Normally, I would save these kinds of videos for the 12 days of anime that I usually do, but due to certain situations right now and some stuff getting delayed, you know, like One Piece, for example, the anime, you know, Digimon, you know, the ones I usually do, and there's not really much any other spring anime that really interests me, or at least the ones that are still going, or just, you know, pretty much either that or just like postponed either for summer or later on or whatever. Now, as for the summer, I'm not so sure specifically on what's going to be coming out or what's going to hopefully come out if it's not delayed. But, you know, I'll find out on that. But until then, you know, I'll get to those live reactions / reviews, you know, the greatness that you guys love. But that's going to be for another time once everything is slowly starting to get back to normal. Or not entirely back to normal, but you know what I mean. Like, when things get better over there, then finally they'll be able to do more stuff with the anime production, which will be pretty fine. But anyways, moving on now to this actual series. I got off way off topic of this, like, holy shit. Okay, so now getting back to the topic of High Score Girl. High Score Girl is definitely a series that I don't really review these kinds of series, you know, this whole slice of life stuff. I don't really watch like too much of it. I mean, I do like sometimes, but sort of like when I want to like chill, you know. It's pretty much like people would equate it to like Animal Crossing, how they mainly play that game just to chill out and relax, you know, from all the stressfulness that's going on right now in the world. You know, this is pretty much my way of actually doing that as well when it comes to this series. So, you got pretty much a Haro, which is a video game fanatic, really big fan of fighting games. You know, he would go there, mostly sneak around to the arcades, where all the older adults go, mind you, where the arcades for the older teenagers slash adults pretty much are around there. Well, kind of. Either that or just, like, mainly, like, older, like, I guess adults and, like, adults, like, first starting out adults, and then, you know, like, I guess you could say delinquents. Because back then, you know, arcades did attract, you know, delinquents and stuff like that. And, you know, pretty much it is true, you know, especially, like, around, like, the late 80s, I would say. There were a lot of drugs involved and shit like that. So, you know, it wasn't always the best place for everybody to hang out. Like, there were, like, simple arcades where it was meant for the demographics of younger audiences, but, you know, during the time, you know, especially during, well, this takes place at the beginning of the 90s at first, but I'm just saying, like, when arcades were starting to evolve, even, like, at the mid or even, like, the late end game of the 80s, it was pretty much like that as well. So, Haru will always go there, and he actually meets someone who's actually a worthy challenger. Because everybody else just, like, scrubbed tier to him. Like, he pretty much got so good at these kinds of games that he can win easily, especially show all the other older kids slash adults, pretty much. Then, he sees this girl, which is rare. Like, what? A girl playing a video game, an arcade fighting game, a Street Fighter 2? Nani? Like, no one ever expected that, like, at all. Like, no one ever expected, like, because, you know, back then, in the beginning of the 90s, you know, well, actually, yeah, well, in the beginning of the 90s, or even, like, in the late 80s, I would say, like, video games towards girls slash women were becoming more of a trend, because even girls were also jumping on the bandwagon when it comes to video games. So I really do appreciate, you know, the, progressively as they do this when it comes to over time. Even females themselves have been pretty much good at video games, stuff like that. It's not always just the boys, not always just the boys or the guys. No, it's definitely always it's the ladies too that are slowly but progressively starting to catch up to the video game industry. So, you know, we see the other actual character that we meet in the series called Ikari. Ikara, and Ikara is sorry I'm pronouncing her name wrong, do apologize, or Ikara, yeah, I believe, yeah, it should be Ikara, yeah. Ikara pretty much is just this girl that, you know, basically seems like your typical, you know, spoiled, you know, rich kid, pretty much, you know, just does pretty much, you know, all these kinds of different like classes and stuff like that. Why I say it like that, like mainly like classes, you know, like schedules of, you know, how the day is going. You know, you have dance recitals. That's what I meant to say. Thank you. Recitals, you know, music recitals, stuff like that. You know, just typical average recital things. You know, they're kids to get activities and whatnot. But if there's one activity that she craves the most, that she seems the most interested in, and that is video games, more essentially arcade gaming. When it comes to, I shouldn't really just say just fighting games, but arcade gaming in general. I just love how the lore of arcade gaming just actually brought like these two characters together. It's actually pretty cool. But of course, you know, you gotta have your other love triangle as well, which you'll meet a little bit later, called Koharu, which is another girl. You'll find out the reason why that I figure out, because yes, it's sort of like a heroine, but not real. Well, it has a little bit of that sense as well, except like it's not a whole bunch of freaking females that wants this one guy. Like, no, it's just basically two females battling out to see which one's gonna win his heart, pretty much. And there's a reason why there's a third girl, the second girl in the game, game of this anime. No, I'm trying to make a pun here, you know. Get it? Got it? I guess. Good. Anyways, so with that in mind, you kind of see why, though. And Haru obviously is just pretty much blind of this. Like, you know, he's still young, you know, for the first time around, especially when he met Mikari. You know, he was a kid, you know, he was about at least 11 or 12. So, you know, he was kind of like me, you know, which is weird because this character kind of represented me a bit, you know, me growing up, because I always thought of, like, you know, especially when it comes to like certain girls that were really close to me as friends. Like, well, okay, it wasn't really like a relationship sort of deal, but to me it kind of was. It was like the complete opposite. Like, for me, it kind of felt that way, just like a bit, While with the females, it's like, nah, not really. Like, you just are really awesome. Like, you're a cool dude. Just do the same things that I do. Like I said, because there are times where I don't really hang out with too many girls or females that have the same interests as me, like video games, stuff like that. Unless it's like minus, okay, not the only exception would be like my cousin or something like that, where she was. But like mainly that's like outside the peripheral. Like, yeah, like I used to have an old neighbor that basically was a girl, and she actually did have a collection of PlayStation games, which was out of this world. And her dad had like a really good job and stuff like that. And I think he worked somewhere like in New York. I forget what it was, but yeah. So, anyways, he would really support like his child really well, and his wife, of course. Even though he wasn't technically around as much, and I think they had some kind of like relationship issues or something like that, but that's just something else. So anyway, so yeah, whenever she felt kind of bored or didn't really have that many friends to hang around with, she always come to me. She'd be like, hey, you want to just, play some, play some of this, some of that, whatever. We could talk, chill, stuff like that. Now, I kind of thought it was like that. Like, I thought it was like, oh, maybe this is a sign of something, it's kind of a sign of a relationship. But not really, though, which is weird because I even thought of that back then. See, it's like me, but like different though. Like for me it was the opposite. For me, I was the one that it wasn't just about the love that we shared for video games, stuff like that. It was more the fact that I want to build a relationship with her. Even back then, growing up, going from a kid to like more like preteen kind of stuff like that, preteen going to teenager, I kind of felt those emotions. But it was kind of my fault, yeah, so even, back then, and then, things are a little different. We both got older, and, things are a little more different. I guess she kind of got the hint that, I thought was actually starting to somewhat build it, but at the same time, the thing is, I was trying to, but then unfortunately it didn't really work out, something like that. She goes like, then, when I actually told her, like, stuff like that, all the stuff that, I felt beside that. She was like, well, nah, you're just like a really cool friend and stuff like that. Like, it's all good, like, you know what I mean? Like, we're just chill, we just play some video games, just chill, talk about stuff we like, and like, I mean, we did connect, don't get me wrong, but I guess I was wrong, I guess. And remember, this is way back then when I was really, really young, growing up, as a kid, going into like teenager years, stuff like that. And, that's just, how it went. And then, I don't think my feelings were really, like, hurt or anything. Even though they weren't really hurt. I was a bit disappointed than anything else, though. But, it's whatever. I still talk to her, and stuff like that here and there. Even though things kind of got, like, a little bit awkward, afterwards. But, we try to work it out. So, it is what it is. Like, she, like, moved, like, a long time ago. So, it was something, like, completely old. Like, before, I got married and stuff like that. Like, this is like way years ago, like one of my first crushes and stuff like that. But anyways, yeah, so pretty much like I said, it's like the opposite. Instead of like the female, it's like the female version of like how I was, back then, but it's quite opposite. It was the feelings that I had. Anyways, moving on. So try not to make it too confusing for you. But still, again, when it comes to the character Haru, it's like, dude, come on, man. Like, I mean, I know, you're a kid, blah, blah, blah. I know you're just thinking her as, like, this really powerful rival. And the same thing with Koharu. And I think, she was also trying a bit too hard just to, like, lay it on him and stuff like that. I think he kind of got to him, but, like, then at the same time, he's just, like, at the same time. You'll find out, once you progress to the series on if he finally starts to develop the feelings, for Ikara. And granted, I know some people may say like, oh, it's a little bit dragged out. Like, come on, this dude should have figured it out since like Jump Street. But apparently, you'll see down the road, his progression when he gets older and stuff. You'll see. Like, I'm not gonna really get into too details until you watch it for yourself. But yeah, overall, like, I just think this whole series just works as a whole. I just love how the fact that arcade gaming and can build up so much relationship just to getting to know each other like so much. It's not just so about that too. Like, even when there's moments where they don't really play games or just like together in general, it feels so good. And I know that feeling, being in a relationship, finally being with the one you love and stuff, that's like me years later once I met my wife down the line. So yeah, but But that's pretty much the way I describe this anime pretty much. Overall, I would say this is definitely a recommendation. Let's see. The animation for this. The animation was actually pretty good. I enjoyed the animation, for the most part. It is using that 3D animation like style. You see it in Beastars and stuff. Well, they don't do it to the extent. It's not for the whole series. They only do it for like certain scenes where it'll go to that 3D aspect and it'll just go back to 2D. So it switches from like a 2D aspect and a 3D aspect. Some people may not like get the gist of that, but for me, I didn't mind. I didn't enjoy. I didn't really mind it too much. Like, it was fine. Like, this is like some kind of new wave of era, this new art style of anime that I'm not really used to yet, but I still enjoyed it. I thought it was actually pretty nice transitions, and the animation still looked, just as glorious as it does. Alright, so the voice acting. Now, I didn't watch this in Japanese. Since I have a Netflix account, I watched the English dub to it, though, because I have a dub and a sub. I enjoyed it. I didn't watch the sub, but maybe that will change my mind once the newest season comes around, and maybe you'll see a live reaction / review. But that's only if the translations are good. I think it's going to be the same thing where Netflix may get that season, probably, but we'll see how the translations go, like, when that comes out. It'll be something different. It'll actually be quite fun. I don't know if it's going to come out this year, though. I heard rumors it was supposed to come out, like, at the very end of this year, though, but due to what's going on, I'm not sure if that's delayed or not, though. But either way, we'll find out. Yeah, like I said, the voice acting, like I said, Johnny on Bosch, who plays Haru, was definitely a really nice job. Really captures like the spirit of like how like dedicated how dedicated he is when it comes to gaming. And sooner or later, if he really does start to kind of have these different kinds of feelings, and you see this, and you go through this journey process of him, like growing up and stuff like that. It really goes into deep morals. It really goes into deep lessons, not just because of the great character roles that each character has. It's just that all these kinds of little hints of lessons that each of them go through, the development and so forth, which actually makes this really special as well. So yeah, I don't know if I have anything really negative to say about the series. I don't know if I should say it gets like a little repetitive though, but not really. I don't think I really found anything like repetitive at all to dislike about the series. I thought the animation was pretty damn good. I love the voice acting. I like the direction. I like the direction of the story this anime was going to. So yeah, I can't really say I don't think I had any kind of negative precautions or anything like that when it comes to this series. Yeah, I really got nothing. I can't really think of one negative thing to really say about it because it flows so well, know what I mean? Listen, if you're a fan of slice of life anime, if you are, or video gaming and romance, you want to put it all together into one, there you go, it's really good. But if you want to get the slice of life out, if you're just there for the video games, or you can still enjoy it too. It'll be a brand new experience, and I do highly recommend it. Or if you're not really a big arcade gamer and don't really know too much about arcade gaming, or not so much of a big gamer in general, you'll still get a kick of it. I still think it's funny, for the comedy aspect. When it comes to comedy, the comedy is also really funny. Yeah, I think it's pretty funny for the most part. Like, they have a lot of things going for it where I think you're gonna pretty much laugh your ass off. Like, it's actually pretty good. So yeah, it's got the right doses amounts. It's so good that I can't really say anything. I've never had this thing for anime at all. It's so weird, but okay, all right. So I guess I'm gonna have to give this one. Well, it's not a movie, but it is an actual series, I guess, or a season. So I think it's It should be 24 episodes, yeah, so the anime in general, or just season 1, or just for the anime, fuck it. It's just for the anime. For the whole 24 episode series, I think I'm going to give this one a 10 out of 10. I actually really enjoyed it more than I thought I did. And speaking of, like, really high recommendation of anime, wait till you actually see my B-Stars review once I actually do that. So there you go, that's my review of High Score Girl. Definitely very recommended, a lot. It's not just arcade gaming too, because you'll see some like console gaming stuff in there as well, and there's some things that weren't really in America as of yet. And it's funny because they got certain games from like the West that actually were in Japan, even in arcade cabinets, which I'm like, huh, that's very fascinating. Like, okay, that's actually pretty neat. So yeah, you'll find out once you watch it. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Give me your thoughts in the comment section below. What you guys think if you had checked it out, and if you have Netflix, you know, go on there, man, check it out. I do highly recommend it, like a lot. And if you're just not into any of that stuff, then that's fine too. But regardless, hey, it's up to you. It's your choice if you want to check it out. But leave your thoughts in the comment section below on what you actually think if you actually did watch the series. Until then, be sure to rate the video, comment, subscribe, click that bell, join the squad boys, follow social media plugins and gamer tags as well. Peace, soul, love, chicken grease, and the sky is the limit. And manga fans, keep supporting me to read what you watch. And that's it. Goodbye. See you all in the next review and live reactions. And, you know, like I said, subscribe, click, you know, stay up to date with the bell, join that squad, and get outdated with all the other future content. Like, you know, gaming, which, you know, hopefully soon with that game capture card thing, I might actually do that for Switch. Yeah, a lot of things. So I'll try to get as much content as I can. I do apologize, but due to what's going on, I have to be a little bit more rested and full of energy in order to actually do this if I'm not too tired. So yeah, but I just want to get some content going in case you guys are wondering where I've been for a good while. Anyways, later.